The data center runs off three 208-volt legs with 120-volt phases. There are two power supplies for each unit in the data center for redundancy. During a power failure, the main power supply has enough power to ensure at least 30 minutes of runtime, which is used to safely power off all the hardware in the data center. The power strips are set up asymmetrically, meaning if a server is plugged in to slot 1 on the power strip, it is not guaranteed to be plugged into slot 1 on the redundant power strip. The data center is cooled via 4 air conditioning units scattered throughout the facility. 3 large units in the main room and a 4th, smaller unit in the side room containing the network infrastructure. Each of the large units is equipped with 2 compressors for redundancy. 3 of the 4 units have humidifiers to keep the room at an even 50% humidity. However, the humidity sensors on the units are all slightly different, giving different humidity level readings, which makes the units fight against each other.
The other thing is we don't get billed directly for electricity. So IT concern for power and energy management isn't probably, I'm not saying we aren't concerned, I'm saying it's not as high a concern as it would be if we were directly seeing an expense with regard to how much it costs to heat and cool the room. The room is very large. The amount of square footage we have in there is probably way higher than we need for our current and future equipment needs. In the future, I expect to partition part of that room, and that will reduce the amount of heat and cooling load that that room will take. We also have kind of tossed around the idea of some type of thermal barrier, some type of insulation, like a mylar sheet or styrofoam or something, just to be put against the wall, because it's got a lot of electrical conduit and breaker panels and things. It's not that easy just to build a fake wall or put spray foam on it or anything. It's going to be something that needs to be done in a more careful manner. So I'm hoping it's something that we do address. It's just not on our short-term. At least we're getting low humidity alarms because one of the other air conditioners was lowering the humidity, and the air conditioner that had a low humidity alarm was going to try to humidify the room with its own humidifier because the other two had lowered it more than it thought it should be. Right now those air conditioners are not linked. As far as I know, there's no mechanism to electronically have them communicate or do anything. I don't know there's obviously some inefficiency there because one of the air conditioners is humidifying the room and using energy to, there's a tray of water in the air conditioner that an infrared light shines on, and that's how the humidity is produced to heat the room at a specific humidity. You don't want it too dry because static electricity, whenever it gets to be fall and the air dries out and you touch anything, you get a lot of shocks and static. Humidifying the room prevents static electricity from occurring, so that's why those air conditioners have that. There are some things we could possibly do, like turning off the humidifier on one of the units or making one in charge of it, but then we'd lose some redundancy.
Stevens Hall runs these following services: Moodle, Zimbra, authentication services for the school, the Cajun Cards, bookstore, and the Step Labs, plus many more. The university splits their master budget with all of the different departments on campus, and each sub-department within IT also gets their own budget. For the Banner ERP system, the university budgeted almost $6 million as of August 2016.
So we have an annual budget, and most of our normal operations fall into that. Large majority of it is salaries. For equipment, we do have a certain amount of capital each year, and we've been very lucky the last 10 years or so. We've been able to upgrade and replace equipment as we've needed to. There have been times in the past where we had our campus network would have to go down 3 or 4 times a day for 6 months before someone would decide to, okay, yeah, we need to spend money on a new router. Things had to break before it was addressed. These days we're in a much better shape than we've ever been. And for me personally, this part of the operations I do, virtual machines I now charge for. So whenever someone wants to use a virtual machine on campus, I can charge. And we've got 100-something billable VMs right now. There's about $60,000-$70,000 a year that we collect. That doesn't offset $150,000-$200,000 SANs, but it gives us a pool of money to draw from if I lose drives or if I need to add something to it. We have some money. Right. We've also been buying upscale, better equipment. Whereas you saw in the past, we used discrete servers, rack mount, one-off servers, and now we've gotten into blades. We've gotten in, instead of storage in each server, we've gone to SANs. Those things have cost more money, but the price point on those things have come down. Whereas some of the SANs we have would be multi-million-dollar expenditures that we would never have afforded a few years ago.
Right.
Now we got two SANs that have SSDs in them, 50 terabytes of SSD each. That would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. And the price point on those things that we got them for was, very, very inexpensive. The academic discounts and partner discounts that made those things very reasonable for us.
Once a fire is detected, the Sapphire suppression system works by releasing a special vapor compound. This removes all the oxygen from the room, putting out any fire that may have started.
Clean it because it's messy.
It's very messy and it needs to be cleaned.
Clean it.
To clean it.
It's a mess. Clean it up.
So the magnetic tape drives that they currently have are going to one day become obsolete or not work. So they're going to have to be replaced at one point. and the cost for that, for them being obsolete. To buy solid-state hard drives now would outweigh that cost in the future.
Currently, the power strips supplying the main and backup power to the servers are poorly labeled and unorganized. Essentially, if you needed to take a server offline for any reason, you'd have to disconnect the power from the main power strip, then take guesses at disconnecting the server from the backup power strip as well. My recommendation is to follow the established guidelines on labeling the power distribution and reorganizing the current layout.
My main recommendation for the data center at Stevens Hall is to basically have better organization. Their server racks aren't really labeled. I mean, they have labels, but they don't have, like, it doesn't say what each server rack is for. So basically the labels that are there now are just basically to label what rack the server is numerically.
So my recommendation for Stevens Hall is to replace the flooring, which currently has zinc in it, which causes zinc whiskers and messes with the mechanics in the room. So replace the flooring with panels that do not have zinc. Now continue with the other one. There,
Alright, so the labeling.
Go.
Currently, the power strips.
Louder.
Currently, the power strips. Oh, God damn it. Alright. Zen. Okay. Currently, the power strips corresponding to the main power and the backup power are poorly labeled. So if you were to unplug one of the, like say if you wanted to take a server offline, you'd have to unplug one and then kind of figure out which... I hate everything about this. I literally hate... I give up, take like 600. I'm just gonna read it. Alright.
Go. Question. If Dr. Tatal were running for president, would you vote for him?
No.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more.